All right, hitchhikers. As all good things, we must sometimes come to that end of the road, that end of the journey. So I am the hijacker, riding along the DC universe in this corner of the CW highway. And as you know, we're coming to a rest stop, and well, now penultimate rest stop, episode 12 of Stargirl. So, I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm sad to see this show go. It's been such a joy to watch this summer. And this is not the only one that is ending because all these other shows. I binge watched the Umbrella Academy. Doom Patrol is coming to an end, and as is Agents of Shield. I think Agents of Shield is going to play their two-part finale on the same night. Believe it or not, I'm not sure, but I've been enjoying it all. But mainly, we're here talking about Stargirl at this rest stop, and the show has started off in action. Because it reminded us, with a quick little recap, that Jordan wants our good family dead. New America is about to start in a couple of hours, and he asks Brainwave to kill them all, including young Mike and everything, who was one of my favorite characters on the show. So what Brainwave does is he sends out the B team. He sends out Sportsmaster and his partner Huntress, and they split up to take out Pat and Barbara, along with Stargirl and Mike. So Pat is finally taking Mike into the pit stop, and he's going to reveal it all. Mike wants questions, but angrily as he is, he's acting a little bratish, as is his character. Trey Romano has done a great job with Mike. He's playing with this drill as Pat is trying to lead him into his secret room. Now, this is what I didn't notice, and I don't know if it's bad framing, but I could have sworn that when Shining Knight came in, last week, he just walked into the door and then there was a robot. But it turns out that there's another room, which I knew was the training room, but that's the room now where the robot is being helped strike. So then, okay, so Mike was in there and sleeping in the car and not in that room. So that's why he hasn't seen the robot. That was my question from last time, and it's been answered this time. So as Pat is trying to open up the door, Mike, goes off in a huff, and Sportsmaster just comes out of nowhere as if he was like listening to their heart to heart and everything. And he's like, yeah, Pat, been looking forward to this. Now, the thing about it is that what's interesting is that Croc or Sportsmaster acts like he just found out that Pat is Stripesy, not like he always knew. So Pat tried to, play it off at first, as he goes for like a tire iron. But like this is a fight he has to do without the stripe. Now, Pat was a bare knuckle fighter from back in the past anyway. So he was used to like, you know, punch out fights. But Sportsmaster shows he bounces the bat off the ground and catches it just to show that he's got skill. But he's kind of like saying, you know what? No weapons. I could take you. And then Pat's like, yeah, good. Right? And he goes, he does have a little power of a punch. But, Sportsmaster is just a little bit or a lot better. So as he knocks Pat around and everything, we do the intercutting. Now, intercut fights are really good on this show, because in a way it's kind of like a team show, stars and stripe in a way. So we cut to Huntress also attacking Barbara and Courtney in the house. So what's kind of cool is, Courtney is able to use the staff to like, protect Barbara, like if she's falling, pick her up and all that kind of stuff. But it also allows Barbara to see her daughter in action. She doesn't need her mother's protection. She's built for this. She's born for this and everything. So she's amazed at how she can fight protect the mother, and take on such a powerful foe as Huntress looks to be. I mean, I really love the stunt woman who does Huntress's stunts. Like the way she kind of like rolled over, jumped off the wall, and rolled over that table. That was pretty cool. So Courtney is holding her own, but Pat is not. Pat's about to be taken down and everything, and he wants to get to the robot and stuff, and like he can't. And it looks like Sportsmaster is going to do him in, but as we know, it's going to be a last minute save. But who's going to do it? And obviously, it's going to be Mike. So Mike actually drills into Sportsmaster's back. I mean, that kid though, don't give him a knife or anything, will you? So that was kind of harsh. And Sportsman's like, what the hell? Oh my God, that hurts. Because he's human, but he's just a little bit more enhanced. And so Pat is able to, take him out with a final blow. And Courtney does the same with the Huntress and everything and taking her out. And so like Barbara's like amazed, and Courtney's like, oh, you sure, and everything. So then they go to meet up with each other. So Pat puts the robot on remote and everything, and then he says, I'll tell you everything. So in their ride out to the cabin, where they decide to go, the cabin kind of looks a lot like Pemberton's mansion, where the opening of the series took place. So they ride out to the cabin, but also the other JSA kids ride out too. So like everybody's all together. Mike seems to be probably fully informed on the car ride, and Justin even shows up with the KFC. I love it how they try to hide that KFC packaging inside those plastic bags, but anybody who eats KFC knows that that's KFC, bruv. And then enter the robot. So now all the JSA are holed up into the cabin, and that's cool. So we're gonna have to do a little recon and planning for their final mission. So we get a little sidebar here. We go to the principal, and she's having a heart-to-heart where her young son Ivan, I believe that's his name, which was the name of the fiddler in the comics, by the way. But he's telling her how he was bullied, as if again. And so she gives him a little, heart advice. And, as she taps the fiddle, not the violin, the fiddle, she's like, well, what your father would have done when somebody came up against him, and he would take that bow and stick it in their ear and everything. So instead of when Jordan told Cameron how he killed someone, and Cameron didn't believe him, it looks like Ivan trying to go, But then instead of looking at the fiddle or the violin, he turns to the tuba. What's that all about? Ivan, choose the fiddle, my lad. Choose the fiddle. So I don't think we're going to get any more of Ivan. I mean, I think, but they're setting him up for season 2, becoming the new fiddler and everything, because mom, she's taken out of the equation. She goes because Sportsmaster and Huntress failed in their mission. Brainwave sends in the second string, which is the virtuoso, which is the principal. And like so, when she shows up at their house, they're not at all happy and everything. And her attitude is like, "Yeah, you're not good parents, are you either?" And that's just kind of like, "Oh, you're just throwing salt in the wound." So the hunter just says, "Zoops," and she just shoots her with an arrow, and now we are another ISA member down. The JSA don't need to take out the ISA. The ISA does pretty well taking itself out in this manner. But so we left with the shot of the violin on the floor and everything. Now, because we've seen what Sportsmaster and Huntress have done before, some other YouTuber mentioned that, I wonder if they're going to find the mom. No, because they tend to bury their bodies. They don't leave their bodies lying around so you can figure out that, oh, she was shot with an arrow? And everything. So bye-bye Virtuoso, and probably bye-bye her magic violin. leaving young Ivan, who was clued in to check out the fiddle, probably going to take up the fiddle. When he finds out that Mommy Dearest is gone. So anyway, back to the JSA, because that's what I like. There's no wheat on this chaff. So we get the fact that Mike is wondering, hey, what about me? Do I get anything? Saying you gave all these tools to these guys. Thankfully, he doesn't have access to the bag, because if he had access to the bag of magical artifacts, maybe he would take up the Green Lantern mantle or something. But instead, he had the heart-to-heart with Courtney, telling her that, yeah, so now I see and understand, you got something going on with Dad there, but I'm wondering, if I found the staff, would I have the power and stuff? And she's like, well, I don't know. It didn't pick me because I'm Starman's daughter. So if you want to give it a go, give it a go and stuff. And so he's like, oh, really? And then, slowly he touches it and it doesn't light up. So he's like, well, okay. Maybe I'll get my dad's robot or something. You know what I mean? And stuff. But it's a nice little tender moment between the two. Meanwhile, Rick is still trying to solve his father's mystery book, and he's now let us in on the fact that the equations and everything, he's kind of cracking the code, but he needs a number. Now, to me, I thought the number would be 7, right, for the 7 soldiers of victory, or maybe 8, because that's why they kept saying 7. That would have been kind of cool, and I was really hoping that was the number. And then Sir Justin, says, ooh, can I take a look? And you figure maybe his rattled brain will figure it out, but it didn't. But then so Pat comes in, and he's like, well, where are the numbers you got, and all that? Because Rick has tried everything. But then when Pat mentions the 66 Mustang, then he's like, yeah, and then he starts putting the code and checking it against letters, and he finally cracked it, So it turns out that Iron Man has made this code because he had mapped out the tunnels in Blue Valley. That's what he was doing in the time that he was there, which is pretty cool and stuff. He mapped out where all the entrance points were, and Beth uses Dr. Midnight's goggles to actually create a map. Now, even though like Rick is like, hey, this is that, it's not like Iron Man would have worked with Dr. Midnight and everything, but hey, whatever. It all comes together. Everybody's using their powers except for Yolanda. I mean, Yolanda has a little heart to heart with Beth about Brainwave Jr.'s death, but and Midnight could tell that she's lying, but it doesn't matter because he is gone. So I don't know how they're going to resolve that and why they're leaving her in this state of being upset. But maybe, we got to give Yolanda something to do since she's not going to put on that Wildcat suit and everything else like that at this point. So anyway, that happens. Now, what was interesting is like another YouTuber had said, well, shouldn't those kids' parents be worried about them? Now, I mean, they haven't been gone for long. They've only taken off for a couple of hours as of now, but they look like they want to hang out in the cabin. But they all know they have pretty much, till tomorrow or it's the end of the world. So they decide to split up and everything. And Beth's like, not Beth, Barbara's like, I'll go with Beth, because she's going to go use the hacking thing. Since she can't use the goggles downstairs, maybe she can use the computers at the lab at Barbara's office. Okay, she'll go there. And then everybody else is going to go off to the different tunnels. And Mike's like, yeah, so what am I going to do? And then Pastor, you got the biggest job of all. You got to watch the dog. I'm like, Pat, you haven't learned, have you? Now that he knows you're a superhero, he wants to join you on your superhero games. It's like your reindeer games, man. Come on, bruv. You know what I mean? I really wish that Mike would have went along because of what happens. But, hey, I think that the way Mike said, "Yeah, sure, I'll watch the dog." Yeah. I think Mike actually, jumped into a trunk of a car or something, and I think he stowed away. We haven't seen that, but I think we will and the next episode. So anyway, what happens is that as we move along down, what we see the machine work. Brainwave, or the Dragon King, takes Brainwave into what looks like Cerebro, which I thought was really funny. This long tunnel to this round surface and everything. And he starts to, map the minds of everyone. Now, it's interesting that out of the 50 states, that they can only control 6 states to start with. But it's enough, and they feel that it's going to be more fully developed minds, or as they were just saying, adults. So pretty much they're not looking to take over their kids or young people. When they first came up with this plan, they were just looking to take over adults and stuff. So now while they're in the tunnels and everything, and Beth finds their manifesto, this is really funny because, so the villain manifesto is, we want to cure cancer, we want to take care of global warming, we want to have universal health care, and we want to stop racism. And I'm like, and everybody's looking at each other like, what the hell? Right? And I love it when Rick is like, wait a minute, what side are we on, Pat? It's like, yeah, there's got to be something more to this. And then, then Beth discovers that, well, what it is that not everybody's going to be up for it. And if they're not up for it, then their brains will fry. Got it. If they resist, they will die. Got it. So the countdown is like, then they figure they got 30 more minutes. And Beth even remarks about how, I'm wonder, when I was down in the tunnels, I couldn't really communicate with everybody and stuff, and so everybody can hear me now. So that's pretty weird. And it's like, it's not. It turns out that the gambler's listening, and the gambler's like, hey, kiddies, yeah, I'm here, and I'm just letting you know how evil I am. So what do you well, this is the Watchmen moment. I love this. It's like, they're like, well, we still got 30 minutes to stop you. He's like, excuse me? No, it's 30 minutes and then we're done. It's already started. And then Bev looks over at Barbara, and Barbara's like, and then and then they look over at Justin, and he's like, he's like, what's going on? And then Stargirl looks at Stripe, and inside the robot, Pat is like, he's possessed. So it's like, oh my god! And then so Pat is like, the robot turns on, and then Pat strikes at Courtney and fade to black. And this is, cliffhanger to the next episode. Now, what I want to just say here is that, first of all, it's awesome. We've all seen the trailer, and we've all seen the Civil War, ISA versus JSA, but we've also seen Courtney versus Icicle, like in another situation. So somehow they must survive the big, battle, right? And then she has to take on Icicle in the finale. But what I'm also curious is that we see Stripe in that battle, but we also see Justin. So, like, here's my thoughts, right? So my prediction is Justin is, because his mind is rattled and addled, that they're able to snap him out of it, because he's able to get what it really does is it causes his brain to come back, so he's able to get his full memories back as a Shining Knight. I think that when Courtney's fighting Stripe, that Mike's going to come out of nowhere, as if, like I said, he stowed away in a car, and somehow they're going to, open a robot to get Pat out, and to save Pat, they got to stop the ISA. But Mike decides to go into the robot, and he becomes Stripe. I think that in that final showdown, it's going to be Mike as Stripe, And that would be so awesome, because not only does it happen in the comics, but for it to happen in the finale, I think it would be a really big payoff and everything. And then he would have to become Pat's sidekick from there. um, predictions for the new season. Well, obviously we got Shiv, who's gonna get out. The kid's gonna defeat the adult JSA. So Shiv will become the new leader of the JSA, or the ISA, excuse me, new leader of the ISA in season 2. She'll take on the Fiddler and Cameron the Icicle and everything, and maybe even the Huntress. So so it'll be kids versus kids next season, and everything, and whatever refuge there is left of the adult ISA. That's my prediction for season 2. That's my prediction for the finale. I this is going to be a whole year. This is worse than when I used to watch Smallville and I go, another year. That was when a year was actually a year. Now it's kind of like when are they going to start shooting? You know what I mean? They probably won't even get to start shooting to the winter time, hopefully. And then that means we have to wait to the summer and stuff. So anyway, I'm out of here. I'm back in my ride back down the highway, and now I'm riding into the horizon to the end. So join me next week for the end episode 13. This was Stars and Stripes. I'm out of here.